Radio Hereford FC, the only station with full match commentaries of the Bulls. Every game, every week.
Well, hello again and welcome to We're Going Down the Pub with me, Frank Williams, and of course, a ground guide guru who's had to work very hard this week for a change. Not for a change, I didn't mean that. That sounded really bad, didn't it?
But that won't be the next talking ball.
He's had to work very hard this week for a change, because we've got this FA Cup fourth qualifying round tie at Eastleigh.
Yes.
You're disappointed by the draw?
I am. Well, I wanted a home game.
But doesn't everybody?
Well, of course.
Well, so did Eastleigh.
Yeah,
so there you go. And I know,
when
I spoke to Keith Hall, I said, something like Kidderminster Harriers would be good, or Chester or Wrexham, even though they're in the north, would be nice. He said, no, we want the lowest graded opposition at home to get. But on the other hand, Beadle has said, hasn't he, to the Hereford Times only yesterday, that he's quite pleased with that draw because it'll be a benchmark of where we are. When we played Tunbridge last year and lost, it was a benchmark as to where we were in comparison to the leagues above us. And we're a stronger outfit now, and to be able to play a team from the National League, they're actually only a division and a bit away from us because we're near the top of ours, and pretty well
and the financial world away, but okay.
Yeah.
Let me pitch a few positives at you then, because I'm trying to make this positive. Okay, we are the underdogs, and that's probably for the first time in the competitive game.
No, I think we were against Tunbridge Angels.
Almost the first time.
Yeah.
And it's a very rare experience.
It is.
2.5 seasons in, it's only the second time. And if we had to be away, this is my inner geographer coming out here. Of 35 destinations we could have gone to, Eastleigh is the 6th nearest.
Really?
It could have been a lot worse.
And it's a long way anyway.
It is. And we got nothing to lose.
No.
We give it our best shot, and if we don't make it, we just get on sorting out the league, won't we?
Absolutely. And we'll know what's ahead of us in terms of standard in the next year or two. If we're looking to progress up the leagues and get back into a National League, we'll know what we're up against. Albeit teams, I think, do play differently in cups than they do in leagues. I think were it to be a league match, I think probably it would be more. It's less likely to be gung-ho. We would be happy in a league match to go to Eastleigh and get a point, but at the end of the day, we'll go there in a league and look for a win, I think. Although Beadle always says, I always set the team up to win the game.
And he does.
And he does. Yeah.
Got to say that for him. Let me tell you a bit about Eastleigh, because I have been there, which really helped put stuff together. They're a Hampshire-based, bankroll, Johnny-come-lately, full-time Step 1 club. There you go, there's a few negatives in there. As you pointed out, they're lower mid-table, they're 16th in the National League. But because they've got that benefactor behind them, they're always something of a scalp. Everybody wants to beat them, and I think we know that story, don't we?
Yeah.
The expectations on their players and their managers, it's constant.
Okay,
all the
there's
time.
Similarity there.
Yeah. And we think we understand the pressure, but when it's full time, when it's your living, and you get in that pressure, it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last season the pressure got so much, and Eastleigh had 4 different managers. I mean, they had Chris Todd, former Hereford player, but one of 4 managers, so you can imagine what a mess that laid. With people coming and going all the time. I mean, they haven't been around that long. They were formed after World War II. Really, they were a small club for most of the time. They got floodlights in 1976. They're in the Wessex League until 2002. And their nickname was invented in 2005 following a vote.
Right, and the nickname is?
The Spitfires.
Why?
Well, they're right next to Southampton Airport, which I think was a military airport in World War II.
Okay.
So I guess that's the history.
Right.
There was a time, and not so long ago, when Stu Fleetwood, Dean Beckwith, Will Evans, Chris Todd and Glenn Southam played for them all at the same time.
Really?
Yeah. And of course they've all moved on now, one way or another. Not a lot of familiar names in the Eastleigh ranks at the moment. I mean, okay, if you're a National League watcher, you'd recognise most of the names. The only obvious name for me is standout is James Constable. He's a very big striker, ex-Oxford United. I'm pretty certain he would have played against Hereford United a few years back. So he'd be leading the line. Big, ugly guy. Sorry, I don't know ugly, but he's certainly big.
There goes the voice of experience at recognising ugly footballers.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
But you've watched El Zoin enough times to know what ugly football is like, let alone footballers.
Bennett,
absolutely.
Yes, it's hard
Now,
work. Okay.
the Silverside Stadium.
Yeah.
That sounds either like a pickled onion or a side of beef, doesn't it? Really.
Again, that's something recent that's been tacked on. They were called 10 acres. The ground was called 10 acres up to fairly recently.
Well, it would have been a very big ground.
Yeah, it's got a big area.
Yeah.
It lies in a very affluent area, and you can get at it quite easily from the motorway network and, surprisingly, from the local airport.
Right, so you could fly into
We could
that
fly
one.
from Shopton, yeah. Wouldn't that be handy, wouldn't it?
Is there a general service between Shopton and Southampton Airport?
Well, there ought to be. I'm sure we've knocked on the door. I'm sure they could sort it out for us. But you know, the ground and its surroundings are still trying to catch up with the Spitfire's sort of lofty status these days.
If they were in the Wessex League as little as 15 years ago.
Yeah. When I went about 3 years ago, and it was really very much work in progress. It was lots of, frankly, quite tatty in many places, and the car park was mainly underwater. But you look at the pictures now and think, my word, this ground has changed so much. You know, they've clearly thrown millions at it to improve it, and money is obviously not an object, no problem there. You know. Now, most matches these days are segregated.
Now that I can understand. The National League I can understand that, unlike Banbury, which I can't understand at all. But yes, okay.
Visitors are allocated 3 blocks of what is now called the McCoy family seated stand. That's behind the goal.
Because it's real.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Turnstiles 10 and 11, and terracing along the touchline. Even though that stand's only 2 years old, it's actually got some pillars, which surprised me a bit.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
You know, they obstruct views of the play and all the planes going past. You know, so the plane spotters are going to be disappointed. As we know, we're getting 1,000 tickets initially.
Yeah.
600 seats and about 300 odd terracing.
That's very good.
Yeah, if you want more, I'd imagine we can have more.
Yeah.
There's a video screen in the southeast corner of the ground. We're not used to that.
No, there's a good film on. Excellent. Yeah, we could watch Blazing Saddles, couldn't we? Instead?
Oh no, with that infamous sequence, yeah. It's like Wembley all over again, isn't it?
It would be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, food prices are sort of top end, as you might expect. You know, hot dogs £3.50, cheeseburgers £4. No alcohol in the ground for visitors. You know, that's very step one, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Now we're not sure on the price yet, but normally if you buy tickets from Eastleigh in advance, it's £15 adults, concessions £10, children's £2 to £5. Now I wouldn't be surprised if Eastleigh dropped the prices, because
Really?
Even if we are Hereford, we're not very attractive opposition to them. So I know, it's snobby, I know. Now parking and general access here is hard work. Now imagine, if you can, Wellington FC,
Right.
nice little village club, taken over by a multi-millionaire. You know, buying in a squad of quality players, yeah, that's doable. Throw money at it, no problem. Spend millions on the ground, yeah, no problem. Got the space, stick some stands up, straightforward. But at the end of the day, it's still a village, and it's got village access, and that's just the same with Eastleigh. You know, it's really hard work. It's on the edge of a hamlet. It's got tight little roads and just one single narrow road, Stoneham Lane, which runs to the ground. It's unlit and without pavements. It's a bit of a horror, to be honest with you. Thankfully, the club now recognise it, and the roads closed to vehicles coming from the north after 12:30. Theory, it's got 600 parking places, which is great.
Yeah,
500 are for permit holders only.
Great. Yeah.
If you can get one of the rest, it's £5 on the gate. Now the car parks are shut for 10 minutes after the game, so the pedestrians can get up Shoreham Lane.
Stoneham Lane.
Get up that one as well. Yeah, but widely considered that's not long enough. So it's a bit of a mess afterwards. You've got, you know, impatient motorists trying to get up the lane, pedestrians trying to get up the lane. Thankfully, it will be light, but for night matches it must be horrible. Home supporters carry a torch or use their mobile to on the sleigh. It's ridiculous for step one, but yeah.
From the air, it would look like a lot of glowworms staking along, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah,
High-vis jackets would
yeah,
be a good
all of
idea,
those,
or
yeah.
armbands.
Yeah, I mean, we will have a taste of this when we go to Redditch, but I'll show you the pictures later. It's just the same. But anyway, Eastleigh these days, they average 2,200 supporters. I don't know where they've all come from, but
knocking on just below us.
It is. So it's park where you can in the village, or on the main road, or on any bit of grass you can find. Yeah. And it's really best not to be in a hurry afterwards, because you ain't going nowhere. So I don't think there'll be 2,200 home supporters. I think, season ticket holders, as we know, are reluctant to pay. So I think some of them, Club 2 divisions lower, we can't be bothered, so...
Yes, but it is Hereford,
Yeah.
The name still means a lot.
Yeah.
And it isn't so long ago that we were a conference team, so,
we sorted them out some years ago, wouldn't we? But
we shall see.
We shall see.
But we know we've got an initial allocation of 1,000, and I'm sure that could rise.
Oh, I'm sure it could. There's plenty of room.
No.
Yeah, and it gets worse, I'm afraid. The refreshments, I think we call them tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, they've got a club bar called the Hangar. It's enormous. It's just like a hangar, really. Hence the name. And there's room for
near an airport.
Yeah, exactly. And room for 300.
But only home supporters will be in there.
Yeah, if the game is segregated, which I presume it will be, then away supporters are not admitted. And I imagine that's some kind of code to say, we've got all the people we want from the home end. We don't want you sort around here. So that's a bit of a nuisance. We're not used to that, are we? But so the nearest alternative, further up Stoneham Lane, is the... Oh, it's tittering already.
I was just saying, I love this.
Yeah.
Listeners, I love this. It's coming up soon.
Okay.
The name of a bar, which we're going to love. Carry on.
Okay, the Concord Club.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's a sort of upmarket, swanky, members-only club. But for the riffraff, there's a bar and there's a bit on the side. There's a bar on the side called the Mouldy Fig.
The Mouldy Fig. I love that.
Yeah, it's saying for the riffraff, isn't it? But they serve bloody Doom Bar, don't they? Right. Thankfully, there are 2 guest beers coming along to save the day. One of them is usually Flower Pot. I'm not familiar with it, but it's a local Hampshire beer. Now, I'd love it to be the Shepshire drinking song, Flower Pot, but no, it's a beer. That would be more fun,
Yeah, that was
upset
fun.
The locals, yeah, indeed.
We must sort out the video of that and put it back up sometime for people who miss Shepshed, inaugural season, very early on. They came with about 20 supporters who were housed in D Block. Now they're all housed on the other side of it. And I think about 20 of them, and so they sang 20 verses of He's Got a Flower Pot on His Head by moving the flower pot along the line.
Yeah. And afterwards they come into Addison's and did the same to home supporters.
Wonderful, yeah.
Happy days. So the best bet is the bar for riffraff called the Mouldy Fig.
Right.
If you're willing to walk under the half a mile, you can go to the Cricketers on Chestnut Avenue, Green King House, and all. There does have some real ale.
Well, it's bound to Green King itself. Green King HBA is very, very nice.
It is.
I've had it a few times this season at away grounds. It's always fairly standard.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
They would rather you have a cocktail, old chap. I'm afraid there's a very extensive cocktail menu, and some very expensive wines. But if you must real ale, I'm sure we can find some.
Yes.
So there you go. It's a bit of a mixed bag, really. It's quite a few issues to get over. Now, it's 123 miles, or if you're a crow, it's only 107. And that's really handy if you support Royston Town, isn't it, really? But there you go. Reference there. The nearest, there's 2 nearest train stations. One is Southampton Airport Parkway, and the other is Eastleigh. Now, if you do go to Eastleigh, there's lots of pubs around, but I don't think you probably will, because it's 4.5 hours each way from Hereford.
Right.
2 or 3 changes, and even when you get there, you've got a 20-minute walk on top, so that's not
on, is it? So
10 hours.
It looks like we'll be looking to Reg to see what Hereford away is doing, and I see
good old Reg.
It's only 15 quid.
That's very reasonable, and if
or £10 for his concessions.
Yeah.
absolutely
I think that's
amazing.
excellent.
And judging by the traffic on that Facebook page after the draw today, I would say there's going to be more than one coach.
I do hope so. I mean, if you live in the Shire and you really don't want to drive and you want to avoid these parking headaches, honestly, they're really bad. Think Reg. It's a 9 o'clock start, but you know, help the guy out. Book early. Don't leave it to the last minute
Absolutely.
and expect it.
It is only, well, it's only a short time ago. It's a week and a half, and
Yep.
you know, you might find if spaces run out on the coast, there won't be any more.
No.
And you'll be left with either a hefty drive or a 4.5 hour train journey.
Yeah.
Neither of which you want. But anyway, we're looking forward to this game because it is a benchmark to where we are. A bit like Tonbridge. Keith is driving. We expect a breakdown on the way.
Oh, you'll be there in half an hour, then, won't you?
Well, but you might have to go and pick up the gear. If you
No.
but I'm coming with you. I'm coming with you, and I will have the gear in my car. So that's really good. Well, thank you all of you for listening to this podcast, and we'll catch you all again very soon with our podcast for Tiverton, which is our only other away game in the month.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Right enough.
and that will be coming very, very soon. Until then, bye for now.
You know,
This is Radio Hereford FC, the home of the Bulls. Match Day Live.